Now, let me ask you a question, Veronica. Um, you've you've been an entity, a spirit. What would you call yourself exactly?
We would call ourselves an energy.
An energy, okay.
Now, entity also is, the definition does prove to be accurate, but we are a collective. There's more than just one energy in our collective, and which makes the ability for us to be of better service, because if we haven't had the experience or we are unaware of certain things, there is usually someone within the collective that has, and we simply call upon them. So having the collective is important. Now, we retain our individuality in that, but we are also connected in all of that.
Okay.
And to be of the best service, you need to have, a multi-tiered availability of information.
True.
You can't just have the linear explanation and be satisfied with it. You've got to go dimensional. You've got to go multi-life. You've got to go into the complexity of the experience to glean all the information that you came here to get. And the simplistic outline of a life is just that. It's simplistic and probably not useful in the big picture.
Okay. Now, when you come in like this and you do a show, and April is off wherever she's at right now, do you feel cold? Do you feel warm? Do you smell food? Do you have all the five senses?
Through the April Crawford, we do.
Okay. When she's April or when you're Veronica?
Well, it's always April's body. That's the common ground here.
Okay.
It's just a different energy occupying it. And when we are occupying it, the facilities are available to us. The sense of smell, the sense of touch, the sense of taste. But we don't eat food. It's not something that is conducive to us. Because the April Crawford, when she talks, as anyone, we are using the vocal cords, there is always tea and water available. So we do take a sip of water and we do take a sip of hot tea just to keep the facilities working, because the mouth can get dry. But we do not participate in food, although we have smelled it. We just participate in, it's either water or tea, whatever she's decided she's going to use that day. And it's within a space that she shows us where it is as we're coming into. It's right there. And when the body becomes a bit dehydrated and needs it, we feel it immediately in the body, and we are capable of picking up a glass and taking a sip so that the facility that we're using remains in good shape. Because if the body gets too dry, she's not going to be able to talk. It'll get raspy. And we've had many people say, well, you sound very similar to April. Well, guess what? We're using the same vocal cords.
True.
That's why. There's a timbre to the voice. Now, we are a bit lower in our timbre, and sometimes we tax her vocal cords a bit because we're speaking at such a deep vibration. But we are always very mindful and very careful with the body as we're using it. And that means we have to take care of it. And if she gets too dry, she's not going to be able to talk.
True.
And we are using her body. She has vacated. She is allowing us, through her graciousness, to be in the form and participate in the form, which is always kind of interesting to us, because sometimes we haven't felt fingers rubbed together before. That is a magnificent feeling, by the way. To put two fingers and just rub them together and have that sensation of feel is a beautiful thing that physical offers.
Right.
But there are other entities that sometimes come in and will use the facilities in a way where they might eat something, but we don't find any interest in that at all. We know it's necessary for the April Crawford, but not while we're in here. Not at all. It's just the water and the tea. For April is mandatory. She said, look, this has got to be here, because if I get dried out, it's going to hurt my throat. And we comply.
Okay.
Just like if you were using somebody's car, you would take care of it. If they asked you to put a towel down so when you're sitting on the seat you don't get it dirty, you do it because they're letting you use their car.
Right.
And she is letting us use her body. So we are very, very honoring of that gift. It's a gift to be able to come in and talk like this. And we've been doing it for close to 30 years. So we're very, it's a very easy give and take. It's comfortable. Mm-hmm. We're two old friends.
Well,
so many who are aspiring, who've only been doing it for a little while, and sometimes they feel maybe their connection is a bit rough, it'll get better. It'll get better. It's like getting to know your partner. You get to know their nuances. You get to know how their body works. We know all the weak parts and the strong parts of April Crawford's body, and we attempt to help when we can. If she's sick or something, we try to align her energy so that she ceases to be sick. There's been many times where we have fixed something, where let's say there was a group event, and of course the day that they're supposed to go to the group event, April Crawford wakes up with a really bad sore throat and a fever. Mm-hmm. Now, in some instances, people would say, well, just cancel, reschedule. But if there is a group of 50 people that have been looking forward to the event, it's, pull yourself together and go. She tells us if there's a problem. She's, look, I'm running a fever, not feeling really good. So if I had my choice, I wouldn't be going today, but I'm going because April Crawford has a big thing about being professional.
Oh, yeah, I
know.
But
we go in and we start fixing. And usually by the end of the session, let's say this group of 50 people that she went to that day, where she started out with, she was running about 100-degree fever, and she had a very raw throat. So she had picked up something that had landed in her throat, and her body was fighting it with a fever. And anyone knows that a fever makes you feel really bad. You just don't want to do anything. We started working on it. It was a 3-hour session, group session. And April Crawford walked in, asked for hot tea, got it, and started sipping. And we said, she told us on the way in, body's not in good shape. I don't know how long it's going to last. Can you do something? So as we were talking to people and working with them, we were working on repairing and removing the foreign, germ that got attached to her throat. And by the time the session was ended, she had no fever. She felt a lot better because she didn't have a fever, and her throat didn't hurt anymore because we repaired it. And it was mostly just realigning the energy. And there was a foreign, like a bacterial moment that she'd breathed it in somewhere or touched her face, touched something and then touched her face and it got in through the eye or something. We removed it. We threw it out and say, have to go somewhere else to build your condominium. She's not accepting. And by the end of the session, she was just fine. Much to the surprise, and Alan Crawford was with her, he was much surprised. Because he was ready to make excuses to get me out of there so that she could take April Crawford home. And didn't have to do it. And the April Crawford was just fine afterward. It took about 3 hours of work. Just the time that she was out, we said, okay, we'll fix this, and it was done. So we can heal and realign her body when necessary, because when we were in it, we have a better vision than she does of the body. And we went directly to the problem and we fixed it. So there is a benefit for the April Crawford because she hasn't been sick in a long time. Because if it starts up, we kick it out.
I can't remember the last time she's been sick, ever.
Well, she usually, when she was teaching dance, she taught a lot of little 3- and 4-year-olds who are usually walking bacterial infection machines. The little kids tend to get sicker. And she was around them a lot. And she would constantly pick up a bronchitis. One time she picked up the measles. She picked from little kids. We always fixed all that.
All right, wow.
So she doesn't, and she doesn't like to be sick, so she's really on board with us fixing things for her.
Oh, yeah, definitely. One more question for you, Veronica. When you crossed over from one of your lives, when you crossed over, did you decide to come back as you are today? Was that a choice you made, and why did you make it?
You mean, did we choose to channel?
Yes.
We saw it as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Because we rather ended our reincarnational cycle, and we were looking for opportunity to be helpful to those who were still in it. We decided that it was a good thing to do. It wasn't assigned to us. It wasn't an option, really. We just decided that that's what we wanted to do. That would be furthering our evolution to be that helpful. So that's why we decided to participate in this way.
Okay.
We thought that the truth needs to be spoken. There's a lot in this current culture you're in. There's a lot of dogma and a lot of, we'll call them stories told. And if it's, it's like the game of telephone. You start at one end and you say a sentence, and by the time you get to the other end, it's a completely different sentence. And that's what it's like with your history. It's been passed down verbally. Some of it's been written, but a lot of the written word of your history as a culture has been destroyed here and there. There are many stories of book burnings and destroying of documents or lost documents. So passing down the evolution of souls on the earth plane sometimes has been distorted or refigured, so that those who weren't as advanced would at least have a fighting chance of some sort of evolution. So that it was simplified. And in that simplification, a lot of information was lost. But at the time, it didn't matter because people weren't that advanced coming into the form. The culture and everything was a bit more elementary. Now your culture is moving into more advanced things, and there's time and effort put into thinking about such things. But there's a lot of dogma that just simply doesn't make sense. And those like ourselves looked at this and said, somebody needs to come in and speak the truth. It will be probably be met with opposition from most, because there are many of you that are so ingrained in the patterns that were created by others that they don't really live the life with full knowledge. And so those like ourselves said, all right, we'll go back and spread the word to those who will listen. There's always going to be those who won't. But if a small percentile of those who are incarnate find their evolution easier or more profound by information that we can bestow upon them, that's why we're here. That's why we do this. We want the awakening. We want those of you who are on the planet to say, wow, all of this is available to me? Okay, I don't have to follow this little rigid pattern that I don't feel comfortable with anyway. As my parents do this. I never did it. It's about taking in hand your own evolution with the truth, with how things really are, not with some sort of fictional stories that were passed down, from a time frame that doesn't, make any sense anymore. So the reason we're here is to put energy, to put knowledge down so that people can run with it and become more and evolve themselves. That's why we're here. No other reason. Do you understand?